Good evening and welcome to Corinne's Picks. I'm the guest host for Corinne's Picks, and tonight's guest is Faisal Saleh. I'm here today to introduce you to the director and founder. Welcome to Corinne's Picks.
Thank you. I'm Faisal Saleh, and I'm a Palestinian American. My family is originally from a village called Selma, which is a suburb of Jaffa and within 5 kilometers of there. In 1948, my family became refugees and expelled from their village along with 7,000 other people who lived in that village in the aftermath of the creation of the State of Israel. As many Palestinians lost their homes and their properties. When Israel depopulated 500 Palestinian towns and villages, destroyed and bulldozed most of these villages, then renamed them with Hebrew names so people could not recognize where their villages are anymore.
Right.
My family ended up as refugees in a town near Ramallah on the West Bank. At the time, they had 10 children. A few years later, I was born there in the West Bank, and I was the 11th child. We grew up in the West Bank. I studied in the public schools there, and after completing the 11th grade, I came to the United States to continue my education, went to high school, under a scholarship from a school called George School. It's a Quaker school outside of Philadelphia. And then I attended Oberlin College after that, again with financial aid from the college, and began working after Oberlin for over 45 years in business.
And how did you find your way to founding the museum, the Palestine Museum?
After spending a very long time working in business, I did a lot of entrepreneurial work. I created companies, and my business undertakings were successful. And in 2010, I sold the main company that I had created. And started thinking about doing something for Palestine, because during all that prior time, I was very busy with business and making things happen. And eventually I came across some people who were trying to start a museum for Palestine, and I joined with them for a while, but I wasn't happy with their approach, and I left and started working on a museum in Connecticut. And 6 months later, I was able to open the Palestine Museum US in Woodbridge, Connecticut, as the first museum dedicated to Palestinian art, not just in the Americas, but all the Western Hemisphere.
And what is your vision to use art to change the narrative about how we see Palestine, Palestinians, Gaza, and the situation at hand?
Well, the mission of the museum is really to tell the Palestinian story to a global audience through the arts. The Western and corporate media in general had really cast Palestinians in a negative light. They've ignored us in most cases, and whenever they covered us, they've only covered us when it came to negative things. They've made us look like we're all terrorists, that anytime I get interviewed by one of the local TV channels, such as like Channel 8 in New Haven, they found some obscure professor somewhere, and all he could say, talk about Palestinians, is terrorism, 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 as if that's all we are. So we're terrorists. We're terrorists until proving innocent.
And how does art change that narrative? How does the artist that you find deliver on changing ideas?
Well, the idea behind
systems?
The art is it's an effective way to communicate to people a story Um, we want to humanize the Palestinians after they've been dehumanized by the media and by Israel, and we want people to see who the real Palestinians are, and to understand that we're human just like everyone else. We have artists, we have people who excel in the arts, and we'd like to showcase the artwork that Palestinians
Is there any
produce.
particular genre of art that you are showing at the museum?
We're showing different genres. We show abstract arts, we show figurative arts, and we show art installations, with sculptures. We show embroidery and Palestinian textiles that are made by Palestinian women through embroidery. And overall, the museum really focuses on showing the beauty of Palestine. Right. We are not necessarily trying to show guts and gore.
Right.
We're not focusing on the negative aspects of what's happening to the Palestinians, but we're trying to show that Palestinians have dreams and hopes, and that's reflected in their art, in the bright colors and beautiful landscapes of Palestine.
And when I visited, I saw the weaving of the kafia that you had there. Can you elaborate on that sculpture? I saw it more as a sculpture.
It is an art installation that is composed of about 47 different kafiyas knotted together and tied in the form of like a bridge of a sort that goes across the room from one end to another.
Can you speak to the symbolism that is woven into the kafia, such as the waves? And
in art, a lot of the symbolism sometimes is in the eye of the beholder, even though the artist may have had something in mind. But a lot of people think of it as taking 47 things and making one thing out of them. That unified bridge is really what strikes a lot of people when they look at that, and they're fascinated by it.
Right.
And we get a lot of people want to have their picture taken there. It's one of the most popular spots in the museum.
And you're wearing a kafia now. What drew people to use the kafia as such a strong symbol of Palestine and Gaza?
The kafia goes back many years, and from when Palestinians began wearing kafiyas about over 100 years ago, and they wore it in the fields and to protect from the sun, and they wore it in the winter to keep them warm. There are different colors of it. The typical one was black and white, but lately it's been evolved into a fashion statement in some cases. People, like I'm wearing a yellow one. I have a blue one and a green one, and I have a red one and a mixed colors one, and so it's really a very striking item you can wear, and it has become a symbol for Palestine. And now we Palestinians have many symbols because of what happened to us. For instance, besides the kafia, the watermelon is a symbol for Palestine, because there was a time where the flag was banned and artists were not allowed to paint a Palestinian flag. So they painted watermelon because a slice of watermelon has green, white, red, and black. The seeds are black.
Exactly.
And those are the colors of the Palestinian flag. The key is an important symbol. And when Palestinians were driven out of their homes in 1948, they were told, it's just going to be a couple of months. The politicians were going to fix things, and then you'll be able to go back to your house. And so they locked up their houses and took the keys with them. And people 77 years later, a lot of people still have the keys of their homes that they left. And those keys are being passed from the grandparents to the grandchildren for safekeeping. And they're living on the hope that someday they will go back to their grandfather's houses and land. And
do you find that symbol, the keys, being handed down from generation to generation, is that being found in artwork as a motif?
It's all over the place in artwork.
I'm just hearing
you
that for
could
the first
hardly
time.
look at an exhibit or something where you don't see a key. There is some painting we have at the museum by a Palestinian artist, a young artist, and there's the girl with the keys earrings. You know, it's a takeoff over a famous painting, a Western painting.
Right, I think I know what you're talking about, right?
And now there's this one where the girl is wearing keys for her earrings.
Right.
And we see necklaces with the keys hanging out of them, and the keys everywhere.
And could you tell us a little bit about what you're doing in Scotland with your museum that you've opened?
Well, when we opened the museum in Connecticut, our thinking was, let's create a strong core museum here in the U.S., in Connecticut. And soon after, because the museum is in a small suburban town, really a small population, it's not meant to have a lot of people coming and going because there aren't that many people. People have to travel to get there. But the idea was to create a strong core for the museum originally as a proof of concept, and then to grow that and branch it into different parts of the U.S. and the world. What happened is COVID set us back 3 years or so in our efforts. Now that COVID is well behind us, we had the time to think and plan, and we are starting the process of expansion. And Edinburgh, Scotland is the first branch of the museum that we've created, and the museum opened on May 17th. And this year. So it's been open for 3 months.
I want to touch on that as soon as we come back from break. What's happening in Scotland? I find this totally amazing, that location. So when we come back, we'll go down and talk about that a little bit more.
Okay.
Thank you. Welcome back to Corinne's Picks. I'm Daniel Lanzilotta, guest host, and my guest tonight is Faisal Saleh, from the director and founder of the Palestine Museum in Woodbridge, Connecticut. You were speaking about the museum you have in Scotland. I'm very interested in that, and could you tell me how do people respond to that? How will you accept it there?
Yeah.
And as opposed to the one in Connecticut?
Well, there are a lot more people in Edinburgh there in Woodbridge, Connecticut, certainly, or New Haven, Connecticut, if you will. So there's the large population there. Edinburgh is a cultural hub, and there are festivals that take place in the month of August where people from around the world, hundreds of thousands of people come into Edinburgh to attend the festivals, and we were obviously we received a lot of these. We are on Google Maps. If you're looking at Google Maps, the museum pops up in Edinburgh. We're located in the heart of the art establishment in Edinburgh, a street called Dundas Street, that has all the important galleries in town, all on one block of that street. And we're in the middle of that block. We are fortunate enough to find a former gallery space that we were able to lease, and we have a 5-year lease currently on it. And that puts us across the street from the Scottish Gallery, which is over 100 years old.
Location.
You cannot get a better location than the location we have.
Right.
So, that gives us great visibility, but also importantly, the Scottish people are very sympathetic to Palestine. They have great empathy. We have people walk in and cry when they see certain things at the museum, and I've literally had people cry on my shoulder. Women in their 80s, that I had to comfort. We have a box of tissue in every room.
Wow.
We have a map on the floor, a map of Palestine from 1948 that has all the Palestinian villages that they were destroyed and renamed and covered up with European pine trees. We really have two audiences. We have, the Palestinians and people who are from the region, and we have the non-Palestinians, people from Europe and the US and other parts of the world. And for the Palestinians, it's a very emotional journey to come into the museum, and for the first time to see a museum that's talking about your culture and dedicated to your art. We spent many years of our lives walking into other people's museums.
Right. Representation.
Now, for the first time, in the U.S. and in Europe, in all of Europe, there is a place that is ours, that is dedicated to Palestinian contemporary art. It's the first place in Europe that addresses and talks to the Palestinians as their own institution. When people walk into that, Palestinians from all ages, and it's a feeling that cannot be described. Some people burst in tears when they just walk in the door. So it is an emotional thing for us. For the European people and the local people in Edinburgh, they come to see what Palestine is all about. They come to learn more because they had not had the opportunity to see firsthand who the Palestinians are. They've been fed lies and misinformation from the Western narratives about Palestine, and the land with no people for the people with no land. That's like the biggest lie in history. So they wanted to see firsthand who the Palestinians are, and to take a look at Palestinian art, and to show empathy for what is happening to the Palestinians. So what's going on in Gaza, and just to say, here, we're here for you. We empathize with you. We're human, and we want to let you know that we care about what's happening. And for us, it's very emotional for us to see that kind of feeling, those expressions of emotions on the part of people from Europe. We had not seen that in the past. It's something we're seeing it now, and I could tell you, personally, I could hardly contain my emotions when I see that happening. And we were used to just everybody treating us as, we don't exist, or, there's no such thing as Palestine as the Israeli narrative tries to portray.
Right. I get that from what I've seen in visiting there for my first time a few weeks back.
Yeah.
Where else do you see where else are you bringing the museum?
Well, we're looking into currently actively looking into creating a branch for the museum in Chicago, one in Toronto, one in Montreal, perhaps, and potentially other places in Europe.
Do you have any plans for Asia at all?
Possibly. We have some people in Pakistan that wants us to put on a museum there. The Pakistani people are one of the biggest supporters of Palestine. It's incredible how much support. As you know, there are a lot of people ethnically from Pakistan and India in Europe, and a lot of them come to show their support for the museum.
Right.
We are working hard to try to create additional branches of the museum. There's a certain model that I've developed that was first applied in Edinburgh, and it seems to be working very well. It's based on an all-volunteer team. Our organization is run by volunteers 100%. This formula takes in consideration the size of the venue, the cost of leasing the space, the number of potential visitors, potential donations from visitors, and purchases of art and merchandise. And we put all that together. There's a certain critical formula that tells me whether something like that is feasible or not.
Right.
And I've gotten very comfortable figuring that out. And as we are looking to grow the museum, where I'm applying the same kind of approach, and the model that has been proven successful in Edinburgh will be applied and copied elsewhere.
Is there a way to get from New Haven, downtown New Haven, to the museum? Is there a bus or some kind of mechanism to get there?
It's really difficult. There's a bus that comes near. It goes to the Jewish Community Center, but it doesn't go to the Palestine Museum. It's something that we could bring up to the people in charge of the transit system in New Haven to see if the museum is on the map. It's on Google Maps. Yet it continues to be ignored by a lot of the official things. For instance, Connecticut Post published a story this past weekend on the best museums in Connecticut. I don't know if you've seen it.
I didn't see that, no.
And within that story, they list all the museums in Connecticut. Last year, they omitted our museum from the list of all museums. So afterwards, we went and complained to the people in charge, and after 3 months of going back and forth, they agreed to rectify that by writing a feature story about the museum in one of their newspapers. And as we accepted that, and we thought that was nice of them to do, but they promised that the following year that they would include the museum. And they just published it just this past weekend, and they omitted our museum again. So we don't know what to make of this.
I do. It sounds it's by design.
So we're disappointed, and again, we are going to hold them to task. And we're going to go and tell them, hey, you ignored our museum again. What's the story here? And our museum is getting more and more popular, has more and more visitors these days. We are being recognized internationally for the museum. And the least, we actually put Woodbridge on the international map. People... when the articles are written about the museum that appears in Europe and all that, it says Woodbridge, Connecticut.
Right.
And all these people are learning about Woodbridge, Connecticut.
Would you consider doing an art residency program there for artists to come and actually create bodies of work in the building?
In essence, we're doing that. We've recently had an artist that spent a few days at the museum who painted a mural. And you probably saw the mural, the Aaron Bushnell
Yes,
mural.
yes.
That was as a result of a residency that we had. Somebody came in person and worked at the, he painted the.
You said it was done in one day? Or
No,
something?
it was 2 days.
2 days. That's amazing.
So it was a short residency, but he's trying to get back and spend more time and do regular paintings, besides just a mural.
In light of everything that's going on, would you consider having this cross-pollination of artists from the region that may not actually get along? In other words, would you have an Israeli artist and Palestinian artists working together to create something in the realm of a type of art that might speak to unity?
Yeah, unfortunately, nobody is in the mood to hosting Israeli artists at this point, considering what Israel is doing in Gaza and the genocide that's taken place. I mean, just even the thought of that is repulsive to us and to many people in the world. I mean, there's a lot of opposition to Israel participating in anything at this point, ranging from the Venice Biennale to the music festivals in Europe. There's a huge movement to ban Israel from a lot of these things because of the degree to which it has really. I can't find any words really to describe
is there a way of finding
what Israel is doing now. It's something that's unprecedented. Even the language does not support it.
Can you give us a website or a phone number and how to find you?
Yeah, it's our social media handle is Palestine Museum US. That's for Facebook and Instagram, the same handle. Our website is PalestineMuseum.us also, and we're located in Woodbridge, 1764 Litchfield Turnpike. In Scotland, we are at 13A Dundas Street in Edinburgh. Our handle for our Scottish pages, Facebook, and is Palestine Museum Scotland.
Great, thank you. So we're wrapping it up. I want to say thank you to everyone that made this happen. Thank you for being my guest. I totally appreciate you being here and for what you're doing to change the narrative about what's happening in the world based around Palestine and Gaza.